right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, yo, it's your boy Sam Dupe.
Hey, it's your man Tell McKell.
And Joe Dupe is taking a vacation. Hey, you're listening to another episode.
He's on internet punishment.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll put you on blast, bro.
You're listening to another episode of You Good,
You
bruh?
good, bro?
Yes. Just to start, man, I saw something this week, and I want to get your opinion on it, Mikhail.
Okay.
All right. And a lot of times I be surfing the internets, and I see something and I just have to screenshot it and see. You know what I mean, because some people think, some people be, going hard. For me, I'm always typically in the middle. It can go either way. But this is a question that a guy posted in the group, and I wanted to see what you think about it. He goes, "Me and my girl been together 6 months. I felt like it was time to introduce her to my parents. They invited us over for dinner at their home last week. I told my girlfriend to wear something nice, jeans and a shirt. After I got dressed, I noticed her looking at herself in the mirror. She turned to me and I saw her breast through her shirt. I told her I didn't feel comfortable with her wearing that particular shirt. I asked her if she could wear a more loose-fitting shirt instead. She immediately started yelling at me and called me controlling. I told her it's my parents that she's meeting, and I didn't want them to get the wrong impression. She looked at me and said she knew I was too good to be true. I was lost because I never had any issues like that before. I apologized to her and said I cared about her and didn't want what she was wearing to be a distraction. She then said it's her body and she wasn't changing her shirt. I told her I didn't want her to come with me. Then I got up and left. When I came back 3 hours later, her stuff was gone. I called her and asked her why she took her stuff. She said she couldn't deal with my controlling behavior. I couldn't believe it. She broke up with me over a shirt. Was I wrong here?"
That's a lot to unpack because I just hearing the story there, we are some of our experiences. And I say that often because it's just the most basic truth. And what we have here is, here she is from what she said, you're too good to be true, meaning she's automatically made a judgment on him because of this conversation, this one conversation. So to me, that it kind of speaks to the anxiety of the moment because she's about to meet his parents. And now you're saying that I'm not good enough, and now you're judging me because I didn't hear him say you look like a, you know what I mean? I didn't hear a judgment. He just said I think it'd be better if you didn't put them out there like that. Like my mom's a little bit conservative.
Yeah. I mean, you should see this picture, man. You can see her nipple straight through based on this picture that he put out there, but.
Did he take a picture of it? Oh my God.
I think no, he didn't take. I think he put the picture up of like what it looked like. So basically
looked like, okay.
Yeah, like what it would look like. It's like like a shirt with
So I mean, but that's the first thing I think about, how she went to immediate attack mode as if this was a reoccurrence in her life. Because she cast a huge judgment on him in a matter of seconds. That didn't match her previous 6 months worth of experience. You understand what I'm saying? Like one sentence wipes out 6 months. So that indicates that she has some history where maybe she was with a controlling lover at the time, or in a situation where she felt constrained, controlled. And so that's the first thing. Second, or the next thing would be him. And I don't know what kind of man he is, and to be fair, I understand people being concerned with what their parents think, but one of the most liberating thing that you could do is be 100% of yourself all the time. Yeah. Why are you going to bring forth a representative that is not maintainable? Because this woman had this in her wardrobe for the last 6 months at least.
Probably been looking at her nipples through the shirt.
Right, like, oh yeah, you look good tonight, girl. So now all of a sudden you want her to pull back that very thing that makes you, You know what I'm saying?
Cover
If
it up.
nothing else, if nothing else, his daddy would have been like,
I see you, right?
you know what I'm saying? Would have get thumbs up, straight up. And so he's worried about what his mom may think.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of sends, that does imply a judgment that my mom would not, she's not gonna like it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's a lot to unpack now. I honestly don't think it should have ended the relationship unless that's what she really wanted to do.
Yeah.
She was just looking for a reason.
And that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I think that I'm not saying that I don't think that she's wrong for not, not necessarily being happy that he wants her to change or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she may be selfish to a degree, like wanting just getting out. You know what I'm saying? Just like leaving.
Yeah.
And not necessarily just kind of looking at it from her standpoint, and not necessarily his.
Well, I mean,
but he left her too, so that's another thing. So he didn't.
Well, he walked out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he didn't want to present her to.
Right, he would rather her not come,
yeah.
And that sends a message as well.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't know that the question is because he said was he wrong, right?
Yeah, he's like, was he wrong here? He's confused.
He was wrong for leaving her, for sure. Yeah. That was a bad play because that says that you don't support me. And this again, while it may be stressful for him, was 10 times stressful for her. And that he's worried about what his mom's gonna say. She's worried about if his mom would ever like her, ever. Because this is a first impression and you're her son, so she ain't gonna disown you. You know what I mean? And I'm the outsider. And you're basically saying, yeah, you outside. I'll be back after dinner. Feed yourself. So he's wrong. And I think she has some accountability because she chose the outfit.
Really?
Well, yeah, because, here's the thing. We don't live in a bubble. Everybody knows when you're meeting someone's parents, this is a big deal.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's not like it's a surprise. Like I'm pretty sure if he went over and met her mom and dad for the first time and he rocking gray sweatpants and just out in his glory, there's gonna be some.
Nah, there'll be clearly
a reaction. You can't just you don't do what you do with your lover with the people that raised them. Like that's just a respect thing.
That's true.
For me.
You have to at least look at it from that standpoint.
Right.
Like, there's still a respect factor, and I get that.
Right. So that's my immediate thoughts. But man, what a petty argument to have.
I mean, I just think people can't get over what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like
talk about
that. I think that a lot of relationships end because people just can't get over like what I want. Meaning it's just like, okay,
it don't matter the topic. It's
just it doesn't matter. It's just like the fact that it's like, okay, it's always like literally being able to find a common ground. Like in this instance, the goal was for her to go meet his mom. And so because they couldn't get to the point where it's like, look, that's the goal, right? That's the goal of what we were doing here.
Right.
And instead of accomplishing the goal, what I wanted you to do takes over what I wanted to happen.
So you're saying that it was selfish?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, in a way it's selfish. So, and for her too, it's like if she wants to meet his mom, her goal should be to get to that point, like to get to meet his mom. So in my opinion, I mean, I'm saying that their problem solving is off because the selfishness is in there.
Yeah, I mean, the basis of selfishness is ego to me.
Okay.
Because in my humble opinion, I always have to preface it with that, or at least a disclaimer. There's a big difference between selfish and self-interest. And what that looks like is self-interest I could speak about it metaphorically, but I'll probably get into that later. But just
Mm-hmm.
at a basic level, selfish is where it's what you want, what you need at the cost of others, right?
Got you.
Self-interest is you have wants and needs that you focus on, but it's not at the cost of others. Like it doesn't it doesn't cost my family anything for me to go to the gym.
Yeah. So that's your self interest.
That's a self-interest, but it'll cost my family something if I go out and cheat on my wife. You
Yeah,
understand?
that makes
Because
sense.
it could
It's
blow up the
it's
family.
yeah.
Like, so at the expense of others. And and I think that people stay away from self-interest conversations because they don't really separate the two, but there's a huge difference.
That's true. I mean, I hear people say it's okay. You always hear people say it's okay to be selfish. It's okay
Yeah,
to
that's a falsity.
and,
That, in
and
my humble opinion.
well, that's
Yeah,
the thing that which what they're saying is it's okay to have self interest, like
that's what
to
they really want to
be.
say.
Yeah, that's what they really want to say. Because I've seen people say, oh yeah, it's okay to be selfish and do this and not and put yourself first.
Right.
And it's like, well, putting yourself first isn't at the expense of others most of the time, right?
Well, yeah, I
But
mean, and to be fair to what others means
mhm,
would be people that you love and they love you.
okay,
So
yeah,
I I had a counseling session or coaching session, if you will, and I had a client that I mean, I'm just be honest, the guy's mad selfish that she's with, just
just
crazy
super
selfish,
selfish.
like
Okay,
just super selfish, but she wants to fix him. And the truth is that she has been she's selfish for him against her own expense.
that's
You
that's
understand what I'm
that's
saying?
wild. That's wild
So
right there.
I have
What?
to frame it. I had to frame the response that way. Like, well, can you be that selfish for yourself for a change? Like, what would that look like? Can we talk about what that looks like? If you and I'm trying to get her directed towards self-interest, but he's the person that would suffer at the expense. And honestly, that's the consequence that he needs so that he can mature into the man that he wants to be. Because right now he doesn't have consequences for his
Got you,
actions.
got you.
And so it's kind of like they both play intricate parts in human development and in sustainability, but typically selfish, it just has a negative connotation to it because it's between two balanced parties and somebody's taking advantage of someone else. You understand? Like
No,
that's the difference
I
maker.
get
And
what you're
there's a time
saying.
and a place for them. There's a time and a place for any of them. But just as a operating standard, self-interest or being self-interested is probably the healthiest thing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you taking care of yourself is better for all the people around you, right?
Right.
Um, but
Being able to
what
say no.
what happens when self interest, like for people around you, I guess they look at it as it's selfish. So I think a lot of people get into situations. I think I'll talk about myself.
Okay.
I think that growing up, I've done a lot for my family. I had to grow up really fast. I had to, since I was 16, I've been working. I pay bills,
Mm.
and I pretty much do everything from the standpoint of just I've done everything for like my mom and helped her in ways that that I think that the family kind of leans on me in a way, right?
Okay.
And so now, of course, now I have my own family. I'm married, I have kids, and I think there are times where they're still leaning on me in the way that they used to lean on me. I'm just like, you know, it I'm kind of now it's like I have to take care of my every day, right?
I take care of my family.
Yeah, I have to
My
take care of my
family.
family. I'm looking at it as like, nah, this is my self-interest, right? I have to get this together so that I can be the best version of myself. And sometimes my siblings and my mom can look at it like, nah, you're looking out for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
hurting us in the process based
Right.
on past and the type of support that whatever it may be. And I think that a lot of people get into those type of situations where they
Well,
become
that's for lack, I mean, since you put it out there, I'll just tell you plain, that's classic dependency.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm trying to say, like
And
dependency.
that's, yeah. So I would say in that instance, their perspective is unhealthy or toxic. Your perspective is grounded in reality and responsibility. And especially when you're talking about able-bodied people, we're not talking about people that are just, destitute and
Yeah,
and on the street homeless and stuff like that. Like, I think um I'm trying to, there's a phrase that I'm trying to remember right now, but what I hear and what you're doing is complete self-interest. Someone outside of your home is saying that you're being selfish, when in actuality they're the ones being selfish. That's what I'm getting at. Like, it's, they're basically claiming that you're the one that is selfish because that's what they see in themselves, or that's what they refuse to own themselves. They're casting it on you is what I'm getting at. So yeah, that's just
now I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, in those instances, because a lot of times, like, usually the person calling you selfish is somebody that's close to you. There's not many people that's gonna be like, coming off the street like, that's so selfish. Like, they just don't. You don't have that. I mean, there are times where that
yeah, no, I get
happens,
it. Yeah, I know
but
what you're saying.
usually when you're balancing self-interest and selfish, it's based on like someone expectation of you. They're
Well, sure.
you
And
know what?
it typically is unarticulated. Like, they just have an expectation,
Yeah,
and when you don't match it, and they feel exposed,
yeah,
they blame you instead of taking ownership of themselves. And that's all really that we're talking about when we say self-interest, is you taking ownership of yourself.
yeah.
Like, people, oh, you got to sacrifice. Oh, no, actually you don't.
Nah,
There's the power of no. That's what we're
man,
talking about.
man. You know what? And we got to talk about that, because that when you start saying no, you start being looked at as a selfish person.
Right.
People
And
start.
no, you're not. That's false. You have rights?
Yes, you
I
do.
mean, basic human right.
You do, and I think that's the thing about it. That's the thing. Black families. We just thought, because I like to use that as a as an
Hold on.
example. Huh?
Hey, pause.
Yeah, yeah. We're good. We're good.
Hello? Hey, Michael.
Okay. But yeah. So specifically, Black families, there is an issue with the word no. There's like an issue with boundaries in general. It's like when you start to say no, you start to come out and be like, you know what, nah, that doesn't fit what I want to do, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that, or no thank you mom, no thank you dad, no thank you sister, or your opinion. I appreciate your opinion, but
Yeah.
I'm going to do X, Y, and Z versus what
Right.
you told me to do. That becomes the biggest issue. Like, it becomes knock down, drag out. You're selfish. I'm concerned about you. You're not yourself. It becomes a lot of stuff. Are you talking about, selfishness versus self-interest? It just becomes it becomes a lot. And, it's something I've seen in my family.
Well,
like
I think I would have to co-sign that. I've seen that. I mean,
yeah.
When I've experienced it, it has been from typically a family member that is senior to me. Like, I don't care if it's 2 years older to 20 years older, right?
It's always somebody older.
Right. It's always somebody older. And what I found is, while you may grow up, they don't. They still know you as, it's kind of like how parents never see that their children are not little kids anymore.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, my baby. So I think part of that, or at least the things that I've seen, is just the psychological denial that this is an adult in front of you.
Yeah.
And then it stays that way until you see them do some adult things, like get married, become a parent, buy a home, something significant that says, I'm popping from the teat. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's like that's been the disconnect for them, and people have a hard time with it. You know, half the time people, uh, I've seen people cry at weddings, and it's like, what is? Oh, they've grown up and they're doing. I'm like, yeah, they've been grown.
Yeah, they've been going a
Oh
while now.
wow!
Yeah, they've
Like,
been
what are you
going
saying right now?
a minute now, right?
Right, you just seen the adult, and so I think some of that is that cognitive dissonance, that snap,
Yeah, you just
and
didn't
so
see it, didn't feel
you
it.
just didn't see it, and it's the same for the no. It's the what do you mean no?
Yeah,
Well, if
like
you
how
don't,
can you tell your mama no?
yeah, right. You but well, you if you don't put that shit down and that. Like, mom, no, I'm trying to. Oh, okay then.
Uh,
Okay then.
it,
I mean, I can't beat your ass, but
I
I
mean,
promise
it
you, don't ask me
becomes
for nothing. You
I
know,
mean,
it turns into
it
this big
becomes the
thing.
biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're literally just been like, nah, mom, I'm not doing that. Or, nah, dad, that ain't
I'm
how I
good.
roll. Yeah, I'm not
Right.
rolling like that. Or, I've let you say that for years now. I'm not letting you say that this year. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, give you another example. I mean, it's not necessarily selfish, it's self-interest, but you get to the Thanksgiving and it's like, oh, you gained a little weight there. It's like, yeah, you gained a little bit yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's
Oh
like,
wow. Yeah.
go,
So you clapping back.
now you're inside of who you are, and it's like it seems like now they're looking at you as if you're not you're not that person that you once were, and you're coming away from them. So it's like, but most of the time is like, I let you beat up on me, but now
Right. I got
I'm
something for you.
I'm about my self-interest now. So I know what it felt like when it used to happen, and so I'm
Right.
gonna say what I feel like, now. And so
But not everybody can do that. Like I welcome the fact that I'm not the person that I was 6 months ago. Right.
yeah.
And while most people say, I had to learn how to embrace change, and that is kind of to bring it back to selfish and self-interest.
Yeah.
I had to embrace change, like, because what ends up happening when you start exercising the pattern of self-interest, you're going to lose some people because they were only attached out of codependency. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that moment when you say no, that person may be like, you know what, man, fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I gotta get used to you not being around anymore.
Yeah, that's just
all relationships end tragically. All relationships end tragically, and there's no escaping that. It's sure, because as surely as you're born, you're gonna die, and that's gonna be a tragedy,
and
right?
you know what's funny about that? I think Issa Rae had put something out there just talking about how like friendship breakups are just as big as regular,
yeah.
It's just as
Because
traumatic.
because that's a person that while you may not sleep with them, you have a closeness that is because they know things about you that were secrets and close to the vest for you, so you feel like they're a part of you. Like, they're like the second brain, if you will. And at this moment, y'all are now separating. So now you have to find a new normal, just like you do when you lose a loved one. You know what I mean? So it's, a partner. You know what I mean? Like it's if God forbid, when people get divorced, they have to learn how to, one, live without their wife or husband. Two, be okay with, if they had kids, not being around your kids 24/7. Because some people have a hard time, like, all right, you got them this weekend, I got them that weekend.
That'd be
like
rough for me, boy.
It'd be rough. It'd be rough for me, for sure. And so when people adjust to that adjustment period is what I'm talking about. Like that's the part where, when relationships end, you have to come up with that new normal. And being self-interested is the ability to be okay with, not that the relationship is not important, not that it doesn't have value to you.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't be more valuable to you than yourself.
Okay. I have an interesting, something that's popped into my head. Why is it that we're not taught to be self-interested?
I think part of it is just a cultural ignorance of what selfish and self-interest is. Like, I didn't grow up hearing the phrase self-interested.
No, and me either. That's what I'm saying.
So
like, why
that's what I mean by cultural ignorance. Like, it's not a common phrase that you hear in communities, because on the radio. That's the one you hear in arguments. That's a word that you hear, period. And I think we just associated self things that are self-care or self-interest to being selfish. Like, oh, you go to the gym, I'm a large guy. Like you literally have.
Say that one more time. You cut out.
Oh, I was saying that what
you said. Oh, you go to the hit me with that again.
Oh, there you go. You froze.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Now, what was the last thing you heard?
You were saying you go to the and it cut.
Okay.
All right.
So, say for instance, you go to the gym and you're there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, right?
Yeah.
And your partner, your wife, is like, I had the kids by myself for 2 hours. I had to do this. You're so selfish. And I'm actually interested. I have a pattern. I go to the gym and I'm there an hour and a half every time, right? I have to do 30 minutes of cardio. Then I have to do, because of my size and my BMI and my blood pressure, these are things that I have to do to be healthy. Yeah. And people will say selfish because they're not seeing the bigger picture. Self-interest means that you have a global view.
Got you.
Right. I don't cheat on my wife because globally, what could happen?
Yeah, you fuck
versus somebody that's like, right. While somebody that's selfish is thinking very micro, man, she finer than a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm ready to get this nut. Ain't nobody gonna know.
And it's all about me, what I want right now.
About me, right in that moment, right now. And so people just don't think of anything with self in front of it. Seems to fall under the umbrella of selfish in society. Even self-care. Going to get your nails done, ladies. You know what I mean? Like, dudes be like, the fuck, man.
Yeah,
like,
it's all about what she want to do. She's spending all this money.
Right.
Spending all this money.
That's right.
To get your hair, your nails.
Get your nails.
But bro, she wants to feel good about herself.
Right. Self-care. So that's what I'm saying. Like anything with self seems to fall under the umbrella of selfish when technically it's not. But I think that's why. That's the long answer to that question.
It's interesting. Whenever I think about these type of things, I always think about how far back it started. Like how far back did us not taking care? Because I think as Black people, we have a very like it's all about us and not about me. In a way, that's and like even the way I was grown when my mom was like kind of telling us like, hey, look, it's about you and your siblings,
right? You gotta take care of the family.
Yeah, you gotta take care of the family. And so the idea of anything self-related is not you're saying it's ignorant, but it's almost a foreign concept too. Like it's completely it just doesn't.
Let me say this. What I mean by ignorance is like we are not aware of the benefits. We only look at the consequence of it, not the benefits.
Exactly.
And so that's what I mean by the ignorance perspective. But to answer the question about when did this start? I mean, honestly, when you think about it, when was it ever a part of our society in America as Black Americans, right?
Yeah.
And when we were not citizens, we were the labor force, free labor force, but labor force nonetheless. And if you were seen not working, not doing what the master said or whatever, you got the cracking pop. And so, or worse. And so, boy, you better keep working, like it's never been something that was introduced to our society. We used to look at, this is where I feel like, where the concept that white is better than Black came from, is that, we worked in these environments where white people, they were getting spa treatments and because we were providing services to them.
Yeah, they would see all.
We would see people taking care of themselves. They were going to therapists, right? Back then.
Yeah, and that's true.
So we see and we are attracted to it because it looks better. Like it's a less stressful life. And I think that's maybe where the concept of white is right came from. Like when we integrated, we wanted to integrate so we could experience some of that self-care, even though it wasn't part of our community. But I think as we transitioned into, you know, the millennium to the 19th century, 20th century, 21st century, you know, as we went through these phases of economic opportunity, how we've been able to take advantage of certain things entrepreneurially, like we do have the funds that can afford getting your hands and nails did on a weekly basis, going to the spa. And so it looks, it's sexy to us because now we can do it. And for those of us that can't do it, it's kind of a crab in a barrel concept. Like,
yeah, it's like you can live without that stuff.
Right.
It's like you can live without that stuff.
Falutin,
Yeah,
you bougie. You know, we
all
talk
oh, yeah,
all of those negative
we
things.
got plenty of negative things.
Right. And so that's why I think it really hadn't been embraced, is because it was looked down upon. To at one point we looked forward to being white, and then it was looked down upon to be what being white in America is,
what it looks
and
like.
being able to take it. So
what I will say is I feel like a self-care movement is upon us, a self-care wave, a self-interest wave is upon us. I think that people have understood, like, you know, neglecting self is probably the worst thing you could do.
It's counterintuitive.
Yeah, it's nice, counterintuitive, counterproductive,
right?
And not necessarily, you know, you're no assistance to anybody.
Right.
You know, you hear people all the time talking about, you know, not pouring into it. You can't pour from an empty glass, right? So you gotta take care of yourself. You gotta take care of yourself so that you can be able to, you know, overflow and spill into other people.
Well, I think part of that too is as you start embracing the power of no, and as you start experiencing the tragic end to toxic relationships, right? It's important that you start looking for people that have the same power of no and add them to your circle. Because to reference what you were saying about the empty glass, like you could pour into yourself, or you could be in an environment where people are pouring into you, and it's a community effort. So like if you feel like your life is stressful, then more than likely the circle that you run in is either pretty non-existent or they're stressful people. They create problems. Like if you got somebody in your crew that's always getting you into some shit, nah, you got that person need to go. You don't need that shit. Like unless you like that, I don't know nobody that really likes it. I think people like watching tragedy. I don't think, you know, people really want tragedy in their lives. But if you got a circle that's always getting into some shit, I mean, from the street level all the way to corporate level, there's a good chance that, you know, that glass that's empty is gonna be broken and you're gonna be dead.
Yep.
And that's the period, point blank, whether it's from a bullet or from high blood pressure. And I think that, you know, you deciding how you want to go out is important, because that tells you how you want to live.
Yeah, that's dope.
You know what I mean? And so I want to go out as a legacy, and somebody that says, you know, he was a loving, caring person. That means I lived that way. You know, and if you want to go out in a blaze of bullets, that's how you live. Like that's it, and people need to connect those two paradigms. Like we're not gonna be here forever.
Nope.
And if you could choose how you go out,
you gotta live that way.
You gotta live that way.
Yeah. No, that's true. And hey man, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna receive that right there.
Thank you. I look forward to it. I'm put on a t-shirt.
But yeah, man, I think that self-interest is something I've been pretty interested in this past year. I mean, in 2020 you kind of have to.
Health. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, you know, 2020 can take you out. You know, it's like this year has been one of those years. And so just being able to dive deeper into that and being more aware of what you need when you need it.
Right.
And understanding, like, you know, it's like you have to take the time to do that kind of stuff and not allow people to guilt you into thinking that taking care of yourself is being selfish, because it is not a detriment to them as long as you're not, you know.
Well, so disclaimer is,
yes, go ahead.
Self-interest. If you got kids and your children are hungry, yeah, you can't put self-interest in front of that. Like, that's the disclaimer. Like,
yeah,
let's be clear.
but it's hurting them though.
It's hurting someone else. It's at the
hurting them.
expense of someone else. So
Yeah.
remember that part.
Yeah,
Self-interest is when it's at no expense to anyone else. So, that's I want to make sure that that's clear. Because I want nobody to say that Mikhail told me to Sam told me
that self-interest doesn't matter when my kids are over there hungry.
Right.
No, that's not the case. It's understanding that you're doing what's best for yourself at the same time as not hurting other people. And I think that's something I've learned today. I didn't really know the difference.
Okay, cool.
I appreciate you for teaching me that, man. Hopefully, buddy who wants his girl to wear something a little bit more modest can figure out a way.
I'm curious,
to make that work out, instead of them both being like stubborn and selfish instead.
So I'm gonna say this, then we can go.
Yeah.
What's wrong with folks' titties? Like, it's human. It's a body.
I don't.
His mama got titties. She know what the struggle is. Like, I didn't get it.
I am not. I mean, my wife is not really one of those people that's just like, got it, flaunt it type. But I don't give a fuck. Like, she knows. Yeah. I buy her shit. She be like, "Why would you buy me something?" I'm like, "Man, shit. I like to see that shit." You know what I'm saying? But
that's my outfit for you. That's
exactly. But there are some that just feel like, I think that that it speaks to. I mean, controlling was what they're talking about, but in my opinion, it speaks to selfish. In a way, it's a little selfish.
They're gonna say it's misogynistic, and at the core of it, it is kind of because ain't nobody thinking about your titties except for another man, right?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, just to keep it real, like,
and she wouldn't have put it on if it wasn't something she already, she already moved that way.
Right. She was already moving and shaking that way for the last 6 months. Probably how you met her. Matter of fact.
Exactly.
And the fact that it's because you pay attention to it, you think everybody else is, and sexualizing her the way that you are.
Well, that is a lot of times we are victims of our own imaginations, our own thoughts.
Amen.
And I think that may be one of those situations that we fall victim to that. We're just like, it's always going, well, for me, I don't care, but it's always going in your brain.
Yeah, I challenged my brain.
Yeah.
I do, because the way my anxiety account is set up, I have to challenge my brain.
Well, hey, look, I'm just saying, we don't want to be. Sometimes you don't want to be victims. Like, I just think he let that become a moment that shouldn't have been a moment. Just trying to control the situation, but probably more so because of his.
He could have asked, but him leaving was the mistake.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with asking if you're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, but then after that, at that point, if she make a decision, you move on with it.
Right.
If she get there, mama's like, cover up, she got to deal with that. You told her but it shouldn't be a reason to not, if you love her, you want to be with her. Interested.
You shouldn't have left her at home hungry.
At home, exactly.
Hungry though. Like, I'm going to eat.
You gonna stay here. Selfish.
Yeah, you and your titties stay here. Selfish. I'm going to eat.
Selfish. Yeah.
Selfish.
Now making that distinction, man, I'm gonna be able to, like, I didn't used to make it. We used to clump it together. Now I'm gonna be able to make that distinction, man. And I think that's dope. That's good stuff, man. Until next time, man. If you guys want to, hear more of this content, just hit us up. YouGoodBroPodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on IG, Facebook is YouGoodBroPodcast. Spotify. I mean, we streaming all over. iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Spotify, pretty much all over. So just hit us up. I mean, listen to us, stream. Let us know. Send us messages. I am Sam Duke, and I am good.
Hey, I'm Tel McKell. I'm good. Y'all stay safe out there.
Yeah, man. It's about to be real.
Some wild times.
Crazy times.
See y'all on the other side of it.
All right.